Welcome back into another episode of the Royals Farm Report podcast. My name is Alex Duvall. I am joined, as always, tonight by Joel Penfield. Joel, we are about a week and a half, 2 weeks into the Major League season here. We are 2 weeks into the minor league season. How are we feeling about the Royals, the entire organization right now? How are you feeling? Scale of 1 being your dog just died and 10 being the greatest feeling you could, I don't know, you tell me.
Well, baseball is currently being played. Whether how good or bad it is, it's just baseball. But I'd say like a 6.5 or 7. And most of that is graded by what the minor league system is doing in spots.
Okay. Fair. Josh, what about you?
I'm probably hitting at a 5.5. Let's do that.
I'm floating around a 4. Like, it could be worse. We could be not playing baseball, but sometimes I think if they weren't playing baseball, like my overall health, like the health of my beating heart and my mental well-being would be better off because I wouldn't have to watch Carlos Santana play baseball anymore. We were just talking about it. I went and looked it up. Since July 9th of last year, he's hitting 163 with a 34 weighted runs created plus. So if you're not familiar with weighted runs created plus, 100 is average. 34 means he has been 66% worse than the league average hitter since last July. He is hitting 163 in that time. He's hitting like 077 right now in 2022. He is by far, maybe not by far, he is a candidate, top 2 or 3 in Major League Baseball for the worst everyday player in Major League Baseball right now. He's awful. He is some kind of awful. He has absolutely no juice left. He has no business being on a big league field. Vinny Pasquantino, if you buy into the projections, is projected as the Royals' best offensive weapon right now. I don't understand what we're doing because Carlos Santana ain't it. But by God, we're going to stick to our guns, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk about that later this week on One Royal Way. But it's just at a certain point, it just becomes Einstein's definition of insanity. They're just doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. The Royals have scored more than 4 runs in a game this season one time. It was a game they scored 5 runs.
Is that true? Is that a real thing?
I'm pretty sure. You can fact check me there, but I think the only time they've scored more than 4 runs was that game in St. Louis when they lost 7-5 or whatever it was. So, and they've run, with the exception of the Sunday lineup against the Guardians, where Cam Gallagher got the start in the 9 holes, the catcher, and Salvi DH'd. It's been the same lineup roughly every day. It's been the same starting 9. And what we've seen is a severe lack of production. And they're going to keep running it. They're going to keep beating their head into a brick wall, it seems, until eventually they break through or they pass out.
I didn't realize we were choosing violence when we hit record tonight, boys. There's a lot of positivity to talk about. Brad Keller looked great.
Oh, we're gonna get there.
Yeah, there are still good things, but here's the thing: in order to win games, you have to score runs, and we are watching a completely inept offense. Like they're not even like the fun differential Mariners last year. Like they are just a special kind of bad that can't even get to fun differential.
I will say Mike Matheny's ability to not put Ryan O'Hearn in the lineup every day has been cool to watch. Ryan O'Hearn is playing just as little as like Kyle Isbell. So that's at least a starting point. But it's time for some of these guys to be done. Carlos Santana needs to go. That's where we can start. That would be the first guy I'd start with is Carlos Santana. You got to go. And I would bring up Vinny P, and I would let one kid play, right? You don't have to bring them all up right now. You don't have to totally go to the kid movement. But it is embarrassing how bad that contract has turned out. And I was all for it. I loved the contract at the time. Yeah. I applauded Dayton Moore for the move at the time. And up until July of last year, it looked pretty good. Like I used July 9th as the arbitrary cutoff for bad. If we go back and just look at what Carlos Santana was doing before July 9th, he was actually hitting the ball really well. So from the beginning of last season through July 8th, Carlos Santana had a 373 on base and a 120 weighted runs created plus. He was 20% better than league average. I know he got hurt, and I know there was some questions about how he was feeling. He had 15 home runs in the first half of the season last year. Like, there is clearly something that has happened, an injury, something in his personal life that has happened, but he cannot be an everyday player anymore. And the Royals are just willing to keep beating the dead horse. Like, nobody's trading for him at this point. You can move on safely and not lose anything, because all you're going to get for him is another Casey Kalich. They got Casey Kalich last year for Jorge Soler. You've got bullpen arms.
That was the example I was going to use. Everybody was writing him off at this time last year too.
Yeah, just move on. Just let it be. Move on and go do something else, because this is hard to watch, and you're going to start losing the fans. 8,000 fans on a Thursday night, 16,000 on a Friday night. That's not good. That is really, really bad, and you've got to do something to get them drawn back into the game. Let's talk about some positivity really quick, Josh. Brad Keller was stellar in his first 2 outings. That was a really good to see. That's a really good development. And if there's any feather in the Cal Eldred cap, it's Brad Keller, right?
Cal Eldred, you could probably talk about Dayton Moore, because how many Rule 5 picks actually work out? I mean, they plucked him out of a system, pinpointed him, and then have turned him into a viable option, whether that's, it's obviously not a 1, probably not a 2, but somewhere between that 3 and 4 or 5 starter range. I mean, that's a victory, right?
Would you sign him to an extension right now?
I don't know. I don't know.
You're not that optimistic. You're not there yet.
He's obviously proven that he can be a major league pitcher. I don't know what his value would be at this point, but sure as hell, give him a 3, 4, 5 year. Not year, but a range value starter money. I'm fine with that. That's fine.
Joel, are you ready to extend Brad Keller yet?
Again, yeah, I think if you're extending him as like a 3 or 4, and you're giving him, I don't know, I think 10 to 12 a year sounds about fair for a guy. So you give him, like a 3 for 36 or something like that. Buy out a couple of years of free agency. I would do that.
Brad Keller is like 26 years old. I think I'd give him 5 for 60 and see if he takes it, because maybe you don't know, but I'm pretty confident that bare minimum Brad Keller would be a really good reliever. Which, if you're a really good reliever, $12 million is not outstanding, but it's serviceable, right? You can live with a really good reliever for $12 million, and if he's out there eating innings, then it's surplus value. I'm ready to extend him.
I will contend, though, the only thing that concerns me a little bit is he was really good in 2018 when he came up and was young and like the Rule 5 pick, and there wasn't a ton out on him. 19, he was kind of up and down. 20, he was really good in the short season. Awful last year. And so you're got a little bit of a mixed bag. I think 5 years, that would worry me a little bit. I'd go shorter, maybe a little more money, and see where it sticks there. That's just
shut down the last 2 full seasons.
Now, if the rest of the season, if he's nails like he is and pitches to like a 3.5 or 3.6 ERA, then shoot, I'd lock him down, definitely.
Hunter Dozier, Andrew Benintendi, still hitting well for the big league club. These are good problems to have, is when you've got guys who are blocking your prospects who are hitting. Andrew Benintendi, the first time somebody called about him, I'd send him off. Bye. Go play somewhere else. Take what you can get, because speaking of a mixed bag, Benintendi, a guy last year, started off. Did he start off hot? Yeah, he started off hot, gets cold, gets hurt.
I think he started off slow, got hot, got hurt, was bad, and then was good down the stretch.
I thought it was the other way around, but
it could have been. But right, regardless, it was a roller coaster.
Yeah, no, You're right, Joel. He got off to a little bit of a slow start, got hot, got hurt, was bad, was good again. I would ride the wave, and if somebody calls and asks, I'd trade him. Let Kyle Isbell, let Edward Olivares go out there and play. But it's good. I mean, those are good problems to have, right? You want your assets to be performing well. And just because Andrew Benintendi is taking at bats away from younger guys who we think are more likely to be part of the future, I'm all in on trading Benintendi at the first possible sale. Joel, if you had the opportunity to extend Benintendi to something similar like 5 and 60, 5 and 75, or trade him, which coin are you flipping there?
I would trade him, because I do think if he continues on the path he's on right now, he might price himself above that, and I wouldn't pay more than 15 a year for him. Josh? If you're Kansas City, at least.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, he's been a great hitter so far. I still have question marks about how sustainable that is, but I would still probably trade him. And then, I mean, we're going to start running into a lot more traffic jams with these seemingly not missing prospects between like Prado, Vinny, Melendez, Lofton. I mean, these guys are going to need places to play, and they're going to need vacancies where there are just okay players. And I think Benintendi is a good player. Okay to good is probably the range I'd stick him in. Right now, he's playing really, really well, but I mean, it's a long season. So as those sample sizes that we've kind of talked about are so small, you probably got to deal with the same kind of, small sample size with the success of Benintendi. So I'm more gambling on the roster spot than I am a Benintendi sustaining this at a great rate as opposed to an average to good rate.
I'm with you. I don't think he is a player you can build around. He's not a guy that I'm giving a bunch of money to be the centerpiece of an offense long-term. Like I said, it's awesome that your assets are performing, but I am on the side of flip him at the first possible sale. Let the kids play a little bit.
It's weird that a podcast like ours who follows the minor league system wants to just cash in for lottery tickets, right?
Shocking, right?
And I say that like and I get probably where people think I'm coming from, but I am 100% like I'm not a huge believer in Benintendi. So as much as I am tired of seeing some of these older guys play, I really just don't think I don't think Benintendi is that answer. I would rather see them go with one of their homegrown guys and save the money for something else down the road, because
for
probably going to spend it on the rotation. Well, number 7, and also they're going to have to spend it on the rotation at some point, because their total inadequate ability to develop pitching in the rotation is it's going to kill them. So got to save some money for that. I would go with a cheap bat and then pay a pitcher, because you're going to have to go find somebody.
Like Frankie Montas.
No, we're not doing that right now. How close was he to being traded to the White Sox? I know that report came out that it was close. Did anybody ever see if there were players?
The White Sox didn't want to give up Andrew Vaughn.
It was supposed to be a 1-for-1, right? And they said,
I don't know if it was 1-for-1, but I know that Oakland wanted Vaughn and Chicago wouldn't bite. So I don't know if that made it fall through and they're still in talks, but that was
Vaughn's hot too. He got out to a hot start too, so I can't blame him.
Interesting. Any last thoughts on the big league team before we get going here?
I'll talk more about it later this week. Be ready for it.
I mean, we thought this team was somewhere between 75 and an 80 win team anyways. This is what they do. So, I mean, they're meeting expectations for most people. And nobody should be surprised by this.
Fair enough. All right. Before we get into our minor league minute, thanks to Kansas City Strength and Conditioning for picking up the show this year for the 2022 season. And here's a really quick word from our sponsor, KCSC.
From the beginning, we knew right away that we wanted to do strength conditioning and a throwing program for the baseball and softball community. It wasn't something we were trying to back into or all of a sudden learn. We knew we were really good at coaching these skills from the get-go. And the fact that we're in the same business and the employees are all on the same page, we can write a program based off of what a kid needs, not just getting him stronger or faster from a general sense. It's what does this kid need? On the pitching end, we can say, hey, this kid needs such and such. He needs to do this or that better. A lot of times it turns out it's not something that needs to be fixed in the baseball cage or on the throwing mound. It actually needs to be fixed in the weight room.
All right, boys, let's get into the minor league minute. Our minor league minute this year is brought to you by Drum Farm Center for Children, foster care facility in Lee Summit, right there off Lee Summit Road, right there by the golf course. They've got they've got homes for kids in foster care. They've got homes. It's their Compass program for kids who have aged out of the foster care system, so they have someone to look after them, a place to go when they turn 18 and they have aged out. So thanks to Drum Farm for picking up the minor league minute. Let's do it. Let's start in low A, the Columbia Fireflies being led by 18-year-old Carter Jensen. Carter Jensen of Park Hill High School here in Missouri has the best OPS on the team at 840. So he is so by the way, when we were talking about Carter Jensen previously, I actually thought he turned 19 here soon. Like I knew he was 18, but I thought technically this was his age 19 season, and I was wrong. Carter Jensen, he doesn't turn 19 until July 3rd, which means this is his age 18 season all year, right? So that'll make models ears prick up a little bit when an 18-year-old is hitting like this in full season ball. But again, you have an 18-year-old leading the team in OPS, and maybe that's actually not true. Daryl Collins is leading the team in OPS at 923. So my bad. Daryl Collins didn't play the other day, so he wasn't in the lineup. I didn't see that. So Daryl Collins, 923 OPS. He's just 20 years old. And then Carter Jensen at 18 and 840 OPS. All 3 home runs that he hit last week were absolute nuclear projectiles. I expected Carter Jensen to be pretty good. I predicted he might hit 20 home runs when we did our bold predictions at the beginning of the season. But even I didn't think that he would have a strikeout to walk ratio of 0.75, an ISO over 300, 3 home runs in the first week and a half. He has exceeded all expectations for me, and he's hitting a $194. I mean, you guys have been watching the games. Josh, I'll start with you. He hit a ball to the center fielder for an out the other day. He hit a home run in his first at bat, and then he lined out to the center fielder. I mean, he was hitting nukes all over the place. How impressed have you been by the 18-year-old out of Park Hill so far this season?
I mean, the name that I kept hearing whenever they drafted him was Kyle Schwarber, and that was huge shoes to fill in from a hitting tools perspective. To see him actually living up to that point, even all the way, like, I mean, that's what Schwarber does, is he takes walks, he hits dingers, and that's basically it. So it's incredibly impressive that he's been able to do that this early in his career. He's also spreading around the field quite a bit. He's got a 33.3% to pull rate, 37.5 to center, and then 29.2 to right field. So he's spreading it out way more than you kind of thought. And like you said, only hitting 194. He's got a 150 BABIP and only an 18.2% line drive rate. So there's, I mean, reason to believe that his stock is only going to be going up from where it is currently, and it's already massive. So that's huge to see him, what he's doing at the plate for his age. It's also encouraging to see what he's doing behind the plate. He's got 5 stolen bases on him. He's caught 4 dudes. And just for reference, the current leader in the major leagues is Jacob Stallings, who's got a 5 stolen base to 3 caught stealing. So he's right. I mean, his arm is legit. His work behind the plate. He talked about it with us before we came here, or I guess it was the first episode, wasn't it? He is trying to he's concentrating, focusing on that work behind the plate. It's absolutely showing. So I'm pumped to see him doing so well this early in his career.
Joel, any thoughts on Jensen?
Yeah, well, the calling card for him when at our previous place where we recorded the show, when we talked about Carter Jensen, was the numbers he put up, like the TrackMan numbers, or like the bat, like what I can't remember what it's called, but like the little like knob you can put at the bottom of the bat that shows like EV and stuff like that. It was ridiculous. I mean, it was 90th percentile, like major league number type stuff. The max exit velocity was, well over triple digits. And so that gives you reason to believe as a high schooler, like, he's going to hit the ball hard. He's going to make it work in that way. But to see him now starting to elevate the ball the way he is against this pitching, to still walk 16% of the time as an 18-year-old first-year full season ball tells me he's not too antsy. He's not trying to do too much with it. He's letting the ball come to him. And then you're seeing the dividends of that, hitting the ball over the wall. And to see him do that now, I can only imagine what he's going to do by June. Once it gets hotter, he's in the Carolinas. It's going to get hot. It's going to get muggy. Ball's going to fly. So there is a lot to like about what he's doing right now.
Well, and the one thing I liked about the third home run he hit, it was a 2-0 pitch. He gets a fastball in, and he turned on it, met it out front, and then hit it a mile and a half. Like, he is hunting pitches to do damage on. And like you said, he's letting the ball come to him, and he's comfortable in it. But like, there's also a piece of it where like he's got a plan. And his plan is, I'm going to let the ball come to me until I get into an advantageous count, and then I'm going hunting. Like, I'm going on the offense, right? And I am going to be offensive with my approach. And the ability to do that, like the ability to differentiate and separate when to be patient and when to attack as an 18-year-old is rare. Like, an example I'll bring up now, Eric Pena striking out 47% of the time. Eric Pena has got some serious approach issues. Eric Pena's hit tool, his ability to put the bat on the ball, is average. Like, it's not his calling card, but it's not the problem either. Eric Pena's issue right now is he is so antsy, wants to swing at everything so bad that he's exposing himself to everybody who's watching, right? So with Carter Jensen, I think the biggest difference is he's not exposing himself. He's like, you're going to throw my pitch or I'll wait for it. And then with 2 strikes, I'll defend. And then if you're going to fall behind in the count, I'm going hunting. I will hunt the fastball. I'm going to hunt my pitch, and I'm going to hit it over the fence. So that's the biggest difference that I've seen so far between Jensen and a guy like Pena, is just being comfortable in your skin, being comfortable in your approach, being comfortable in what it is that you do well, where Pena is swinging at everything at all costs. And he's done some damage, 2 long home runs. I mean, we've seen the tools. They are flashy.
Oh, yeah.
But you cannot swing everything. And right now, I mean, Pena is not Sully Matias, but by God, he's got to stop swinging so much. So that's the thing that's impressed me the most with Jensen. And Joel, you hit it on the head, just being comfortable, letting the game come to me, and then having the ability to turn it on offense when pitchers fall down in the count is so impressive, and it's so cool to see. We mentioned Eric Pena striking out a ton. Wilman Candelario also striking out over 40% of his plate appearances. A guy that I was excited to watch just because the numbers were pretty flashy in Arizona last year. Yasuel de los Santos, an outfielder, 48% strikeout rate. Joel, you mentioned it before we started. Strikeout rate city. Like, these guys are having a really tough time early on.
Yeah.
And I think it shows like the volatility that is possible when you talk about guys at low A. It also talks about how good, I think it speaks to how good some of the Royals upper level hitters are that we've seen go through it.
Yeah.
All there. They've moved through the system. It's like, okay, that's the difference, right? Between a guy borderline or into the top 100 and then guys who are still kind of working their way through. So, really quick, Joel, any final thoughts about the offense there in Columbia?
Not really. I want to take it right to Eric Sarantola, man. He shoved the other day. That was awesome to watch.
Yeah, 10 strikeouts in 5 innings?
10 strikeouts in 5 innings. The curveball's ridiculous. It has great shape, great spin, good depth, and any other scouting term you want to use. I mean, it's a really legit plus pitch. And I loved his fastball. It's not necessarily a sinker, but he gets really nice late arm side running into a righty that plays really nice, especially when he runs it away from a lefty. I mean, it starts on the middle away and is in the other batter's box by the time he gets there, and it's getting swing and misses and generating a lot of them. So to see him in one of his first starts really get it rolling there, really encouraging. Another college pitcher that should probably start working his way up here soon, especially if he can stack a couple of those outings on top of each other.
He struck out 9 of his first 11 hitters in that game. Doesn't get much more dominant than that. That's pretty stupid. I do wonder if there is a sinker and a 4-seamer in there, because there was some flat 4-seamer looking, and he also was working in a change, but there was some interesting things. It looked like there was a sinker being thrown as well, but yeah, working top of the zone with that heater somewhere in the mid 90s, and then throwing that hammer curve, and it's making people look stupid. So it was a huge dominant start, nice bounce back from his not so great first start. So it's good to see him bounce back.
Ben Hernandez made his first start last week, 4 scoreless innings, 4 strikeouts and a walk. Rylan Kaufman made a couple of relief appearances, 8 strikeouts in 5 2/3. He's a guy, the stuff is gnarly. I mean, there's not a lot of guys, period, with his flat ability. He's now 23 in low A. I'd be surprised if at the end of the season, we're really excited about what Rylan Kaufman's going to bring, but a guy to watch. I mean, there's not a lot of lefties that throw 96 with his breaking ball. A guy that flew under the radar that I mentioned in the preseason once, Herbert Garcia. 6 strikeouts in 5 innings, only the 1 run, no walks. I'm going to have to break down the film after 2-3 outings because it's not overly impressive stuff, but combined with his ability to pitch and mix pitches and sequence, really intriguing arm that we'll talk about. I want to get out of low A here. We've been spending a little bit of time on low A, but another intriguing arm. There's a lot of intrigue down there. There's a lot of volatility like we've been talking about, but a lot of intrigue as well. So that is your Columbia Fireflies. They are back home this week. I don't remember who they're hosting, but they are back home this week starting on Tuesday. I think that should be, by the time you're listening to this, it will be Tuesday, but I think Ben Hernandez is starting tonight on Tuesday. So might get a couple of Ben Hernandez starts this week. So will be fun to watch that. Let's jump up to high A, where Tyler Gentry is absolutely ripping the cover off of baseballs. Tyler Gentry is hitting .545 with a 1.539 OPS. That is good for a 324 weighted runs created plus.
Totally sustainable. Totally sustainable.
100%.
Yes, absolutely. He did not play in every game. He was kind of in every other game. He almost didn't make it out of the preseason. That injury from last year was still kind of nagging him. So just the fact that he's out there playing is good. I'm sure he will be working his way back here soon. But Tyler Gentry is absolutely hammering the cover off the ball. That was one of Josh's bold predictions, is that Gentry will be back in our top 20 by the end of the season. That looks absolutely like a slam dunk. Luka Tresh also hitting the ball really well. Luka Tresh batting 296 with a 122 weighted runs created plus. He hit a ball that he pimped there in Quad Cities. He knew it as soon as he got it. And it was a simple bat flip. It wasn't like he was trying to show everybody up, but just wanted everybody to know that he knew he got it. Kind of one of those things. So
those are the best ones to me, because it's like I'm so disgusted that this guy is even on the same field as me that I'm just going to drop this real quick and take my jog.
Outstanding bat flip. So Tyler Gentry's hitting the ball well. Luka Tresh hitting the ball well. Any thoughts, guys, on the Quad Cities River Bandits? Josh, go ahead.
Juan Carlos Negret also hit his first dinger as well. But it was like both those dudes and Gentry, all three of them hit home runs in the same game. Tresh pimped it. Negret knew he got it as well, and Gentry was the one who put one off the scoreboard. Just throwing that out there. He was the one that put it up big. But I mean, I'm not going to take a victory lap because I'm going to say way more wrong things than I am on Tyler Gentry. Plus, it's still very early in the season, but he is doing very well. Very happy with what he's done. I am a little bit nervous that it's a bit of fool's gold, a little bit, because two of those doubles were definitely more opportunistic base running situations than they were about him hitting it hard. Still hitting the hard, still hitting that massive jack. Got another one, and then he's had a couple line drives that were just on the nails. But it was, I say on the nails, on the screws is what I meant. But he did have one double. I tweeted about it, where it was a infield fly that the first baseman, second baseman could not figure out, and he made it all the way to second on. So it was just opportunistic. I'm trying not to get too pumped up about his stock and being able to sustain this high OPS that he has, but it's very encouraging to see to start out for sure.
Joel, any thoughts on that Quad Cities offense?
The one guy that it popped out to me, and I didn't even really notice it until now, but Erard Gonzalez, it has a 152 weighted runs created plus to start the year. Admittedly, I don't know a ton about him, but that's the guy that certainly to keep an eye on for other people. 842 OPS to start the year. So walking 13% of the time, striking out around 30, but the walks at least balance some of that out. Could be a guy to keep an eye on there.
He's a lot of fun to watch. He plays with a lot of flair, a lot of energy, just pure entertainment value. Gerard Gonzalez is one of my favorite guys to watch. I don't know what kind of a prospect he is. I think we had him in our honorable mention preseason. So there's some tools that are fun to watch, but in terms of pure entertainment value and the joy that players bring to the game, he's fun to watch.
Also kind of wild. Just looking at early season stats are always kind of funny because they can get super wonky, like Tyler Gentry being 224% better than league average. But Beryl Dixon is striking out in 50% of his plate appearances, and he has a 116 weighted runs created plus.
He's hitting 321.
Yeah.
He is hammering the baseball when he hits it. I mean, he
more tools than your dad's garage, man.
They call those guys the 3 true outcome guys.
Yeah, that's him. On the mound, Tyson Guerrero, 10 strikeouts in 7.2 innings. Not a guy I had a lot of expectations for coming into the season, but he pitches. And that's the thing with a lot of these prospects is some of them just throw. Tyson Guerrero's up there pitching, and there's a difference, right? There's a difference between just up there hucking stuff across the plate and seeing if it gets across, and Tyson Guerrero up there dicing guys up with maybe not quite above average stuff. He's 92, 93, great curveball, but I mean, it's not overly impressive. Adrian Alcantara, 13 strikeouts to just 3 walks in 7 innings and 2 relief outings.
Oh yeah.
I've always liked Adrian Alcantara a little bit. I picked him because I thought he would throw a lot and strike some guys out in our fantasy league. He's been incredible, and his off speed is legitimately the combination of slider, curveball, splitter is among the best in the entire organization. I am buying in on Alcantara as a legitimate starting pitching prospect, which coming into the year, I liked him. Like I knew he was good. I knew he'd be a good minor leaguer, but would he ever be more than Marcelo Martinez? Just get to AAA and get, flame out? I don't know. I'm starting to think there might be something there. He's already 22, but he's pitched at every level. He doesn't get hit around a ton. Maybe there's something there, maybe there's not. But Adrian Alcantara is giving me a reason to continue to watch him, which when you're a prospect and you get into high A, double A, keep giving the scouts a reason to watch you, and you'll continue to get opportunities at the next level until you just prove you can't handle it anymore. So really excited for what I've seen from Adrian Alcantara in the early going.
You think he gets up to double A before the end of the year?
Yeah.
Could be something to watch.
I think so. I think
they're
promoting a ton of pitchers out of double A.
Right. Yeah. I think that could be, it's not necessarily like you have 100% earned, you're just too good for high. It could be just that there's a mass exodus from the Texas League and he gets an opportunity. But also, he's making dudes look like, like they're flailing up there at some of his pitches. So it could be by July, he is just too good for the level and they just send him up just to see what he's got.
Yeah, because he spins it really, really well. Fastball's 94, 95. It's good, but he can really spin it. Speaking of double A, let's jump up to the Naturals where Michael Garcia hitting 406 in the early going. Josh, I know you want to talk about him, so let's just jump into Michael Garcia real quick.
It's Michael Garcia's world. We're just living it at this point. That's just where we are. The dude does everything well. Just absolutely incredible. We gushed about him that first week. Here we are talking him again. For this last week, he was slashing 400, 520, and 450 with 5 walks and 4 strikeouts. That's too many strikeouts. Come on, man. It's just your walk to strikeout ratio is like a 4 right now, whatever. Also 3 stolen bases. But the thing I wanted to kind of talk about is his long-term ceiling. What are we comping him? It doesn't seem like his power is there. Unless he develops into it. His body's just not at that point right now. He's only put up 3 home runs, I believe, last year in his good season. So I don't think his power is going to be there, but he legitimately does everything else well. We talked about his plate approach, his hitting for average, his bat to ball skills, and his defense is supposed to be the best part about him. So there's a very high ceiling here, I think, but I was wanting to pose the question to you guys. What's the realistic long-term ceiling that we can expect from Michael Garcia? Everything works out and he's, potentially working on major league career. What's the ceiling?
I think the comp that I threw on him is his cousin. It's Alcides Escobar. But I think the difference between Michael Garcia and Alcides Escobar is that Michael Garcia is actually willing to work a walk. Michael Garcia is walking in almost 25% of his plate appearances at double A, which he will not do. But he walked in 16% of his plate appearances at low A, 10% of them at high A last year. And Alcides Escobar, if you go back, when he was in high A, 5% of the time, 2.5% at double A, 4.5% and 5%, triple A, 6%. Like Alcides Escobar, we know, was not willing to take a walk. Michael Garcia is actually willing and able to work a count. But then once he gets to that point, it's hit tool, overpower, great defense, great runner. People may forget that Alcides Escobar stole 35 bases in a big league season and 31 in another season. Michael Garcia stole 35 bases in low A and high A last year. I think he's capable of stealing 30 in the big leagues too. So you've got a player very much like Alcides Escobar. And I never know like how people remember Alcides Escobar because he started all those games. Analytical Royals fans hated him. The traditional Royals fans loved him. And I think the real way to remember Alcides Escobar is somewhere in between, right? Mm-hmm. He's somewhere in between, should have been batting leadoff and shouldn't have been playing. He should have been the Royals 9-hole. He should have been playing gold glove caliber defense and just being a catalyst at the bottom of the lineup. Instead, Ned ran him at the top of the lineup, which was awesome for game 1 of the World Series in 2015. Pretty much sucked every other time it mattered. So I don't know. I think if Michael Garcia can give you that, be almost league average offensively and be a great defender. Like if you look at 2012, Alcides Escobar, 97 weighted runs created plus. And that's like also, by the way, the 1 year the defensive metrics hated him and he was worth 2.5 wins. If you go to a year, 2014, 93 weighted runs created plus, so 7% below league average offensively. Defensive metrics loved him. 3.5 win player. That's outstanding. We would take that every day of the week from Michael Garcia. Yeah. I don't know that he'll ever hit for enough power to be like a 4-win player, but if he can be 2 to 3, that's outstanding value. You would take that from an everyday shortstop if he's your 9 hitter, right?
Now, we talked about him potentially being a top 100 guy by the end of this year or sooner, but I do just wonder if that's a possibility with that lack of power. So
that's the biggest thing.
Alcides Escobar was a top 5 prospect in baseball with Milwaukee. He was like number 2 for a long time.
Oh, shoot. I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Now, we've evolved. We recognize the value and power now. But right. Nick Madrigal was a top 50 prospect in baseball.
That was, I don't know. That was always, I was never on board with that because he always screamed Nicky Lopez to me, which is a good player. But again, if you're not hitting for power, you're obviously a run scorer. But
I think some of the Nick Madrigal stuff was where he got drafted, where he went to school. I think that
absolutely
was. He was a top 3 pick that went to Oregon State. He was going to be a top
about him being a top 100 prospect. They've shown a willingness to put guys like that in there before. I'm not saying they'll do it to Garcia, but if he, not that he's going to hit at this clip for very long, but if he hits 330 with an on base near 400 and is stealing bases, his defense, I think it can carry him to that level because he's 22 years old playing AA. So, we'll see. Yeah. I'm not saying he's going to be, a surefire guy, but I really believe he's capable. And I was raving about him all offseason, but Michael Garcia is absolutely a guy Royals fans would know more about if it wasn't for Bobby Witt Jr. On the mound down there in AA, it has not been great. Drew Parrish has been spotty at best. Like it's not been what we expected. It's not been even what it was last year. Asa Lacy's ERA is 4.6 despite having 13 strikeouts in 9 2/3 innings. Anthony Veneciano has just 2 strikeouts and 2 starts with 8 walks. Angel Zerpa, just 4 strikeouts in 6 innings with an ERA over 10. It's not been awesome down there early on, especially for a Wichita team that's not really that good. So I would anticipate that cleaning up. We thought that could be the best part of that team, right? Coming into the season.
Absolutely.
Pitching staff and the rotation can be the best part of what's going on down there. Josh, I'll start with you. What have you seen on the mound? And do you have any reason to believe, like anything that you've seen, like, whoa, let's calm down. This will get better here pretty quick.
Well, I think we got to start with Asa Lacy. So far was a 9.2 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 earned, 5 walks, 13 Ks. The 13 Ks is absolutely spectacular. Just kind of dream about him doing. We knew he was going to do that. We knew he was going to walk guys. In that first start, he went 4 innings pitched. I'm sorry, from 5 innings pitched. But in the 4th inning, he had to strike 3, out number 3, that pass by Sebastian Rivero. And if he makes that out, he ends the inning, 4 innings pitched, 0 hits, 0 earned, 1 walk, and 5 Ks. He fell apart after that. And depending on, they even beyond that, if the scorekeeper calls that a pass ball instead of a wild pitch, he's only given up 2 earned runs on the year. So I think if that little small thing goes differently, we're talking about Asa Lacy in an entirely different light, I think, at that point. So I thought a second start was a lot more promising, only gave up 2 earned and 7 base runners on 7 Ks. I'm into it. The other part about that is the bounce back rebound starts for the other guys you mentioned. Alec Marsh, 4.2 innings pitched, 9 Ks, 2 earned. Drew Parrish, 5 innings pitched, 3 Ks, 3 earned. That's kind of what Drew Parrish does. He's going to potentially get that minor league quality start like that. So we'll see. Zerpa, 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 Ks, and Veneziano, 3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 earned, and 2 Ks. So it's kind of a mixed bag, but a lot of those dudes had pretty good, solid bounce back starts in their second go around. So I think we can just pump the brakes on worrying about them right now.
Joel, how you feeling about that team at AA?
Yeah, I'm not incredibly worried right now. It seems like they're kind of sleepwalking right now. Like I don't know. It's hard to say with minor leaguers, but it feels like maybe some of it was like kind of read the press clippings of how good they were going to be. And they've kind of, just kind of walked through it a little bit thinking they could just win on talent alone. And that's not the case. I think they're going to get it right here soon. I think that there's just too much talent on this team for them not to bounce back and just start winning ball games. especially with some of the starts that some of these guys have had. And Michael Garcia and Michael Massey's been solid the last few weeks. Lacey, I think he's going to be just fine. He seems like he's starting to get it dialed in a little more. The command is always going to be okay, but if he's anywhere close to the strike zone, we've seen the results. So especially with with him being healthy this year. So big test against Frisco this week, but I feel pretty good about where they're at. I'm not. It's too early in the season to be worried about much. One good start and one good series for a lot of these guys, and the numbers are going to look a lot better.
Let's jump up to AAA Omaha where Vinny Pasquantino.
Can I hit one more point real quick from AA? Okay, so if I told you that Sully Matias was striking out 30% of the time, he had no home runs, and he had a 90 weighted runs created plus, what would you think his batting average would be? I know batting average isn't everything, but it's interesting here. What do you think is that? He's hitting 321.
Yeah. I actually looked that up. I was like, what?
I know. Like, he is not going to hit 321 for a full season. Like, he's probably going to hit 230 or 240. But it is kind of crazy because I was looking, I was like, damn, he's hitting 321. How many home runs does he have yet? And I had to go back and score. I was like, he has 0. So
it shows a change in approach.
Absolutely.
He's shortened his swing up. He's not trying to clobber the baseball as often. Like with 2 strikes, he's showing an actual willingness to, not literally choke up, but to choke up, so to speak, shorten up your swing and put the ball in play. I've been impressed because everything we've seen from Sully Matias up to this point has been Mongo hit ball, right? Just how far can I hit this thing every single time he goes to the plate? And now he's shown a willingness to shorten up. We saw this. We see this from guys all the time, like Chris Davis. Chris Davis, when he was going through that slump in Baltimore, looked like a caveman swinging a club. It's like there was no approach. There was no rhyme or reason to anything he was doing. He was awful for a long time. Sully Matias did some of that at times. It was like, are you trying to do anything but hit the ball as far as you can? And this year, I think you can see tangible evidence of an approach and tangible evidence of trying to be better with 2 strikes, which is outstanding. I love that we've seen it. And that's the kind of adjustment he was going to have to make it. Now, the power has to come back. Like he's not a prospect without the 80 grade power. But if we can get some combination of that 30% strikeout rate with the 2-strike approach and that early account power, you've got a prospect on your hands all of a sudden. So I'm glad you went back and got him, Joel, because there is tangible evidence of changes being made to his approach, and it's worth getting excited about.
Absolutely. So I say all this to say, we've talked about the change in approach, and it's nice to see. I'm going to be at the game in Frisco on Friday because I'm going down to Texas to see my college buddies. I need to see him hit a ball 485 feet. So if he could just uncork one and swing out of his ass just once, I would appreciate it.
I don't want to be the Debbie Downer here, but he did hit 143 last week. He was 2 for 14 with 4 strikeouts and 1 walk. So let's just talk.
You are messing with my narrative. You are messing with my narrative.
Just pump the brakes here. Let's just pump the brakes, not get too excited about this. I agree that he is absolutely shortened up his swing, and he does look pretty good. He looks great at that plate anyways, but the approach, we'll just see where we are after week 3.
I miss hosting on Zoom because I would have muted you. I would have just
you'd have reality.
I don't have that power anymore. I can't mute you. I'm going to type in the chat over here, Tucker, mute him.
Let's send to Omaha, Alex. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
One more
I'm
thing.
glad you went.
Logan Porter, great week last week.
Shut up. Okay, so
you did. I just want to be positive here. I don't want to be Debbie Downer.
I'm going to try to be positive. Vinny Pasquantino batting .297 with a .449 on base and a 142 weighted runs created plus. That 142 weighted runs created plus, by the way, is the lowest mark he's ever had in the minor leagues. So, if that tells you anything about what he's done throughout his minor league career, I am ready for the Pasquantino show in the big leagues. I'm done with Carlos Santana. I know we talked about that earlier. I'm ready. He appears to be ready. He's walking more than he strikes out. The power hasn't come around yet, so maybe you let him hit a few home runs and get his confidence back up. But that is the last thing that I need to see. And he hit a double and a triple down the right field line in his last game on Sunday in Omaha. So Vinny Pasquantino, we mentioned it, Joel, on the podcast in the preseason several times. There's a good shot that Vinny Pasquantino could get called up before Nick Pratto. And I think you're seeing why. Nick Pratto, we'll get to him in a minute. The one thing that concerns me right now with him is he stopped walking for whatever reason. So, but the difference in the approach and the difference in contact rate is the reason we could see Vinny P before Nick Pratto. And Nick Pratto's played some left field and right field. I think they're prepping to have them both in a big league lineup here pretty soon, with Vinny P taking a lot of reps at first base. So we'll see what happens here. But Vinny Pasquantino can pick it around the bag. He'll remind folks a little bit of Eric Hosmer at first base. He's not going to get anything that's not hit right at him, but his hands and feet around the bag are really advanced. He's not going to drop balls. He'll scoop them out of the dirt. So he doesn't have the range like Nick Pratto, but Eric Hosmer won a Gold Glove just catching what was thrown and hit at him. So anyway, Vinny P is tearing the cover off the ball. He is so disciplined at the plate. 7 walks, 1 strikeout last week. I'm ready for the Pasquantino show in the big leagues.
I don't think we're too far off from it, especially if Carlos Santana continues to bottom out the way he has. It wouldn't shock me. I said it preseason that I think there's a really good chance that Vinny gets called up before Nick, and a lot of it is what we're seeing, that Vinny puts together better at bats right now. Nick is still figuring things out, and I do wonder about the mental aspect for a guy like Pratto that kind of regained his prospect status, that he's trying to A, live up to it, and B, he knows that he's one call from the show. Last year felt like it was just a good story that he got to AAA, and I don't think he was expecting a call this year. I do wonder if for him and Melendez, they're both struggling a bit, that they know that call is coming and they're trying to press. I think Vinny has played enough baseball. I mean, he's 24, that I think he just feels a little bit better right now. And I think he's a little more comfortable with who he is as a hitter, and he's not trying to kill the ball. He's just making solid contact. He's talked about it. I don't try and hit home runs. I try to hit the ball as hard as I can every single time I make contact. And that's what he's doing. And he's cool with that. And the home runs will come because he's 6'4", 250 and makes it happen. So it's certainly been interesting to follow, but Vinny has another 2 to 3 weeks that he had, like this week. We could see him in Kansas City very soon.
Well, and he was able to go to camp, right? So Pratto and Melendez were locked out of spring training for a while too. So I'm willing to give him a little grace and willing.
That's
to
fair. That's totally fair.
You missed a few weeks of spring training. Vinny's been there. So maybe that's the difference right now, because we've seen Pratto hit for power, a double, a triple, 3 home runs. Melendez is ISO 171, not terrible for a 111 BABIP, right? I mean, he's just
at least for him, he's still walking 15% of the time too. So he'll get it going.
Seeing the ball well. And I actually think this is more likely what we could see from MJ Melendez in the big leagues. It's a good walk rate, 14, 15%, and about 25% K rate. Like, I do think there is some of that to his game, and going to bop a few home runs, and he'll have streaks like this when you're not getting as lucky and the ball's not falling your way. You have streaks like this, and when it does fall your way, you hit 8 home runs in a week and look like a world beater for a little bit. So Brewer Hicklin did not have a great week after starting on fire in that opening week. Gabriel Cancel, what a fall from grace. I don't understand what happened here. I was a big Gabriel Cancel fan. I think we all were.
Yep.
But Emmanuel Rivera also hitting the ball really well. Also walking more than he's striking out. 149 weighted runs created plus. So we could be seeing him get a look in some capacity somewhere on the infield. If Mondesi doesn't hit, maybe they take Mondesi out of the lineup on occasion, put Rivera at third, move Bobby Witt Jr. to shortstop. I don't know, but Rivera hitting, we know they like Rivera in some capacity. Mondesi not hitting really at all. On the mound, Jackson Coar made his first start in Omaha. It was okay. They brought him up from Omaha last year, and he has totally been awful since. I don't know what to make of it. Some of it's between the ears. Some of it really is, I think, mechanical, but how much of those mechanics are because of what's going on between the ears? The bullpen continues to be nails. Sam Freeman, 7 strikeouts, has not allowed a run in 4 outings. Colton Brewer has allowed 1 hit, has 10 strikeouts in 6 innings. They've got some dudes down there that could come up and help the big league bullpen out here pretty soon. They've got some bats that I think are going to be up soon. This Omaha team could have a ton of turnover really within the next couple of months. So they've been fun to watch, though. I know they haven't done a lot of winning yet, but there's a lot to like about that Omaha team. So That's all I got for the minor league minute. Any other thoughts real quick?
I wanted to kind of highlight that AAA bullpen one quick time. You mentioned a couple of them, but Freeman, Brewer, Quas, Tapia, Peacock, and Josh Dye combined for 18 in the third innings pitched this last week. 7 hits, 2 walks, 16 strikeouts, and no earned runs from the 6 of those dudes. That will absolutely do the thing.
Okay, so I don't know if y'all, I know y'all saw it. Omaha won a game earlier this week with the most bizarre box score I have ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
So they were playing Louisville, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're playing Louisville, AAA for Cincinnati. And Omaha won 6-4. And Louisville had 4 runs on 10 hits. And Omaha had 6 runs on 2 hits with 14 walks. I mean, Alex, like, you've coached varsity games like this. I didn't expect this to be in AAA.
Yeah, it happened to us today. We had something like 8 or 9 hits, 3 runs. The other team had a lot of runs on fewer hits than we had. Like, outscored us by a lot and had fewer hits than we did. They had fewer hits than we had, and we had fewer hits than they had runs.
Ooh.
So that's
very strange.
So, I mean, it happens in high school. You don't expect that in AAA level. I mean, typically in AAA, you're talking about guys who are journeymen that are just there, or prospects that are getting ready to make their big league debuts. Walks like that typically aren't that big of an issue. But, I mean, typically that's where you find that in AA, right? But,
yeah.
Speaking of weird things that don't happen very often, did you guys see the ending of the Quad Cities game yesterday?
Some magic, little hidden ball magic.
Down 6-2 for Gonzalez on third. Juan Carlos Negret hits a pop out to shortstop, and they pull a successful hidden ball trick to end the game. I mean, that is some Bush League bullshit, if you ask me. What are we doing here? I understand that they're supposed to try to win games or whatever. We're there to develop, boys. We ain't pulling this hidden ball shit. Get it out of my life for these minor league games. That's Bush League.
Typically, though, like, umpires now will call time to avoid stuff like that. So, like, if you're unfamiliar how this all works, here's a 2-second rundown. Ball in play, outmade, or a hit, right? And umpires will typically just call time.
Yep.
Time is not in again until the pitcher toes the rubber. The pitcher can't toe the rubber without the ball. So the hidden ball trick is almost impossible anymore. So what happens is the third baseman catches it. Time is never called. He just holds the ball, and the pitcher walks around the mound, can't toe the rubber, just walking around. Gerard Gonzalez steps off the bag. They tag him out. But again, typically, like, base coaches will ask for time. They will call time so that everybody can get set without the shenanigans. So to even be able to pull off the shenanigans almost takes, like, the will of the umpire into play, right? And I mean, it's like, it's almost like bad example, but it's kind of like umpires. If a runner misses a bag and the coaches don't see it and the umpires do, umpires can't call the runner out on their own.
Yep.
The coaches have to appeal. And every now and then you'll catch an umpire, like, freeze and, like, look at the coach and look back at the field. Like, did he see it? Am I supposed to? Okay, quiet. Don't give it away. And, like, sometimes the umpires will, like, give it away because they've made it obvious. So for there to be shenanigans, I don't know if it's Bush League, but for the shenanigans to be possible, like, you almost have to have the umpires in on it.
My opinion on this: don't get got.
Fine.
I'm gonna get got.
Don't get got.
But I'm gonna get mine more than I get got, though.
Marshawn Lynch, the prophet of our generation. Good stuff. All right, MVPs.
That has been the Minor League Minute, brought to you guys by Drum Farm. Thanks again for hooking up with us for the Minor League Minute for the 2022 season. Players of the week. We voted Carter Jensen our MVP of the week. Park Hill High School graduate, Kansas City kid. 3 home runs, 5 walks, 6 strikeouts for Columbia this week. You guys voted Vinny Pasquantino on Twitter in sort of overwhelming fashion. Vinny Pasquantino got, hang on, Wi-Fi, 63% of the vote. Vinny Pasquantino, a 1225 OPS, a double, a triple, 9 RBI, 7 walks, and a strikeout. I get it. Vinny Pasquantino is my personal hitter of the week, Alec Marsh is my pitcher of the week. So again, the three of us voted. We took Carter Jensen as our weekly MVP. Who was it last week? Nick Prado. So we have two different players now who have gotten their weekly MVP for hitting 3 home runs in a week. So if you want to win the RFR MVP of the week, just hit 3 home runs and we'll pick you. So MVP of the week, Carter Jensen. My player of the week is Vinny Pasquantino. My pitcher of the week is Alec Marsh for his 9 strikeout performance for the Northwest Arkansas Naturals the other night. Josh, give me your player and pitcher of the week.
Yep, it's Eric Sarantola. Like I said, struck out 9 of the first 11 hitters in his start on his way to a 10K night for over 5 innings. So he's going to be my pitcher of the week in Sarantola. And my boy Tyler Gentry going to be my player of the week. Has went for 8-14, 4 ribbies, a 4-2 K to walk ratio, but a 15.54 OPS on the week with the stolen base, kind of. We can look at my Twitter timeline for the kind of reason, but yeah, we'll see how he does, but he's got my vote this week.
Joel, give us your player and your pitcher of the week.
I abstained because I thought I thought it was a together vote for player of the week and pitcher of the week. So I screwed up. I blew Falcon. I'm very sorry.
Joel wasn't here last week. Joel was a late scratch last week, so he did not get to partake. Well, actually, yeah, he did. He sent it in, but
my bad, y'all.
Used his vote
I will be better next week.
Gotcha. So Joel will be back with a player and a pitcher of the week next week. Gentlemen, any final thoughts? Josh, we'll start with you.
Happy Easter, everyone. It was a great day, great holiday. We actually got to go out to the Royals game on Friday night, and my son's been carrying around a baseball ever since. So let's see what happens.
That's outstanding.
Duct tape his right arm behind his back, have him start only throwing left-handed, and get free college.
He's got lefty and righty going, baby. He's going to be the ambidextrous pitcher again.
We got Pat Vendetti going. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. So my final thought, we've seen PitchCom is a thing now, the little automated wristband the catcher wears. I've watched dozens of baseball games so far this year. It's been brought up on every single broadcast at least once. And I was listening to a podcast today with Lucas Giolito, a pitcher for the White Sox, and they were talking about the automated voice is like a male Siri voice, like super automated, robotic. And so they started talking about what voice do they want to hear? Would you prefer to hear in your ear as you're pitching and calling a game and keep yourself? So my question to you is, what voice would you like to call your pitches for you?
Morgan Freeman. I don't really care what it is, what we're narrating. That's the voice I want to hear. Fastball. That just dreamy Morgan Freeman voice. I would lose it. I would lose it on the mound. I wouldn't be able to like focus. I'd be like, okay, Morgan, whatever you want.
That's the thing. Like I need a little bit more. I need a little bit more ampage, a little bit more up, but I don't need it to be too much. So I'm gonna go Mark Wahlberg from The Departed, like that. Just low key condescension in his voice. He's gonna make me pissed off enough to like burn a fastball by somebody, amp it up a little bit, but it's not gonna be too much. So give me Mark Wahlberg from The Departed. Boston accent as well.
Is it Mark Wahlberg or Alec Baldwin when they're waiting on the Chinese businessmen for the microchips? And one of them says to the other, he's like, "Oh, I'm the guy that did my job. You must be the other guy."
You're the other guy. That's
like,
Wahlberg.
I can't remember who says it's Wahlberg. Yep. Who says it. Did he say he's got Baldwin?
He's got so many good lines in that damn movie. It's so good. So I'm going with that.
That's actually a good one because the condescending, like it would get you.
Just get under your skin. You're like, nah, man.
That's
so
funny.
Mine would be Liam Hendricks.
I like that one too.
Because one, Australian accents are the best, and two, he swears like I do. So it would be, and he says some more colorful words because they're Australian, and there are some certain swear words that they say in Australia that are a little more tame than, or more
acceptable.
Acceptable than they are in America. That I would let him scream into my ear as it.
That would be good too.
Yeah. Or if you could give me, there is a specific bit. It's one of my favorite comedy bits of all time. It's Robin Williams describing golf, the invention of golf in a Scottish accent. Again, they swear in an incredible fashion. And that's just how I'm one of those people like whenever I played, I needed to run through a brick wall because I didn't throw hard. So I had to like amp myself up and just run on pure adrenaline. I couldn't be relaxed. So that's how I would have to roll.
Gonna
They do
knock
this
a
once?
ball in a
No.
gopher hole.
Yeah.
18 times.
18 times. Yes. That is a great bit.
It is one of my favorite comedy bits of all time. So that just Robin Williams with a Scottish accent or Liam Hendricks.
Speaking of great comedy bits, my final thought on the night, if you haven't seen the video of Bert Kreischer drinking Kool-Aid on Tom Segura's podcast, I laughed so hard for 5 minutes the other day when I saw that for the first time.
Mhm.
Like, if you've never seen it, so they record it at like 9 or 10 a.m. and Bert Kreischer is a big 64-ounce like Yeti tumbler, and Tom Segura is like, "What are you drinking?" He's like, "Kool-Aid." He goes, "What?" He's like, "Red Kool-Aid." He's like, "You're drinking Kool-Aid to start your morning?" And so he pours some in a cup. He goes, "My God, you are drinking Kool-Aid." And then Tom Segura just loses it. Absolutely loses his composure on the set. He's like, "That is so much sugar." And just starts, just making fun of him, just ripping him. He's like, people probably think that guy drinks so much water. Good for him.
Good for him.
No, just Kool-Aid. And it is. He's like, and Bert Kreischer even said, he's like, that's one of those things where like you don't even realize how weird you are until someone points it out. So I want to know, gentlemen, what is something really weird that you do that you didn't know was weird until somebody pointed it out?
So I'm super fidgety, like ADHD fidgety, and my fidget thing is baseball. I sit from the time I could, as long as I can remember, always would just sit there with the baseball, just sitting on the couch, just messing with it. My wife and I got married, and I just sit there and she just makes fun of me all the time. I do it at the office. I was just sitting there like this, and someone was like, "Did you catch a foul ball at the Royals game?" I'm like, "No, just brought this from home." So that's my, again, like, people know I'm baseball obsessed. I'm like Rex Hudler.
You and Hud, yeah.
My dad calls me Rex Hudler whenever he sees me do it.
That's outstanding.
Like
Josh, what is your weird thing that you do?
I would probably I eat shrimp tails.
Oh God.
The tails on shrimp that they say get stuck in your intestine. I'll eat those. Don't know why.
Why?
I don't know. My wife hates it. She gives me hell for it every time she sees me do it. But I am who I am, guys. I am who I am, and I eat shrimp tails. This is where you place it in your palms.
I've got nothing left. I don't know where to go from here. Like, you think you know a guy. I mean, that is almost as bad as sleeping with your socks on. Don't tell me you do that too.
Nah, I can't do that.
I can't trust people who sleep with their socks on. I know we've talked about that already in this podcast, but my weird thing is I have to do everything with both. Like if I don't know, if I step on a line with my right foot, I got to step on it with my left foot. If I catch a baseball right-handed, I've got to touch it in my left hand before I can throw it. Or like, I'm really like, I don't know if that's superstitious or OCD, but like my OCDs are really finicky, and I'm very much like symmetrical with like, I don't know, with my OCD. That's like my weird thing that people have commented on before.
I'm gonna tell you that both of those tendencies that you guys have, I have the same kind of quirks, and they only get worse as you get older. Guaranteed.
Am I going to start eating shrimp tails as I get older?
I don't know.
Too?
That's just a different. That's not a completionist thing in me. That's just the thing that I've done my whole life.
You don't put ketchup on your steak, do you?
No, but I don't
only
like
one
steak
man
either,
that can do
so.
that, and he makes
Kinda
$500 million.
steak?
It's fine. I grew up on it. I've had enough steak.
There's only one man
like
that can do
go
that.
to Sunday afternoon meal. Like, you're cooking, you can cook whatever you want Sunday afternoon. Your wife's taking care of the kids, so you can cook ribs.
Yeah, if I'm going after it, it's probably a smoke a rib, or gotten into big time into like wings lately, and I'll do some recipe experimenting with some wings in the air fryer.
Wings are in the air fryer. I was gonna say wings are great because you can smoke them in 2 hours.
Yeah,
slap them on the grill and they're done. It doesn't it's a smoking day, but it doesn't take forever. Like you can smoke wings in a couple hours and yank them and they're done. Joel,
air
what
fryer.
is your Sunday go-to? Wife's got the kid. You can cook whatever you want. What's your go-to Sunday meal?
I make a really good mac and cheese. with I make a beer cheese sauce.
Like Kraft? Okay, so not like Kraft.
No. I make my own cheese sauce, and I use a little bit of like Boulevard Tank 7 in it. It's prime. It's really good.
I feel like
I've been really
Royals Farm Report potluck coming up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that can happen because I've really been into like really like taking care of my steaks lately. So like not every Sunday, but like lately on Sundays, I'll go to Price Chopper in the morning, get a couple of, because at Price Chopper, they've always got something on sale. Lately, it's been the KC strips, but a couple weeks ago, they had ribeyes on sale. It was like it was like 14-ounce ribeyes for like $8. So I got a couple of those for the wife and I, and really like took my time to like do them up right and take care of them. And like, oh my God, I've just been, that's been my kick lately is like steaks on Sunday.
Cast iron skillet?
To finish them. So like I slow cook them on the grill, and then bring them in and flash them and baste them on the cast iron.
Oh,
yeah.
I will eat that. That's good stuff.
We need to do that. We need to pick a Royals game and go out to the K.
Bring our smokers and our air fryers.
Yes. You can plug. I've got an outlet in my truck. You can plug the air fryer in.
And then none of us have a ride home.
No, that's a whole other issue that we'll cross when we get there.
Right.
So,
yep.
Yeah. All right. It's been about an hour, gents. I appreciate your time tonight. If you're still listening to this, A, thank you. B, like, share, subscribe, get your friends to do the same. I don't care if they listen to it or not. Grab their phone, download the podcast. You'll be doing me a favor. I've done it to my family. I was at Easter on Saturday. I literally, like, Aunt Kat, give me your phone. My aunt is like 65. She doesn't listen to podcasts. I grabbed her phone, downloaded our podcast onto her phone. Go do it. It helps us. If you want to help us do that. Download our podcast on other people's phones. Even if you don't know them, just download it. They'll thank you or not later. It's fine. Thanks to KCSC, Drum Farm, KCSN, everybody for their involvement. Thanks to Tucker behind the screen. And we will see you guys again next week. Thanks again.